Welcome back to the journey as we head into Game 5 of Alpha Esports versus the J Team. But before that, a big thank you to our sponsors, CTBC Bank, Chonghua Telecom, and China Airlines. The last two ones over there, a little bit mixed up, but you can look at the bottom of your screen for their logos and for their full names. Now we go straight into the action. J Team coming up a high with Hana's MVP performance on the Lee Sin, and Alpha Esports coming back without a win just yet, 0-2, still trying to find their footing inside the league.
Yeah, however, for the side of Alpha, their early games, not too shabby. We saw in that PSG game, they were able to really take advantage of River early on. Unfortunately, the bot gap was a little bit too much to overcome, and that allowed PSG to really snowball to a very quick win. But as we see in J Team's roster up, one of the big things is Mission has just really been outstanding so far, in addition to Hana being really good.
Pretty insane game from both of them. Mission, you know, he is, I would say his best champions are definitely the mages, but he can switch it up. Lucian is a must ban from this guy. He plays the Akali. He showcased the LeBlanc already. Seems to hit all the correct notes on the meta so far. Russ has been outstanding, consistently winning his lane. There's nothing to not like about Summer J Team. Summer J Team and Spring J Team, they're just completely different animals.
Yeah, and then now it's really just a matter of how well do they stack up against the very top, and of course also how well are they able to take care of these teams that should be much below them, as we are going to have the Alpha Esports roster being pulled up here. 3Z, K-Babe, Xiaotu, An, and Shang. The new rookies, I'm still a little bit skeptical. I'd like to give them time to grow, but so far, a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I would say Sung for me is a definite upgrade over what they had in the past. But Xiaotu solo killed multiple times in lane. 3Z also, even with the new hairdo, not really cutting it with the 0.4 KDA and just consistently being killed in his own lane as well. So again, Alpha Esports continue the trend of lots of big names, members from the former LMS region that you definitely know in Laba and 3Z and On, but still not being able to deliver on this promise. Like you said, early game seems to have been fine, but they have a ton of just execution mistakes that are incredibly glaring. I remember the flash from On directly onto an enemy Rise, and it didn't end up very well for him. We'll see what the draft is going to look like. So far, K-Babe has kind of been the spearhead to most of the Alpha offensive, so J-Team are just going to take that right off the table. On the flip side, Alpha Esports paying their respects to the patch and to Mission, Akali and Nocturne off the board. Still a lot of really strong picks, and Xin Zhao is going to go as well. So Viego might be the pick. I think Russ is just trolling right here. There's no way he actually just first picks the Yone. I don't believe it. Viego is going to be the pick.
Should be Viego, of course. I don't think there's been any draft where if Viego was let through the ban phase, he didn't get picked first pick. But Alpha going back to this LeBlanc pick, Xiaotu hasn't looked great on the pick, I'll have to say. And it also means that Mission, he's just going to go on to Lissandra duty. Yesterday, he went 0-0-12 on the Lissandra, didn't die once, and yes, he didn't get any kills, but it was all about facilitating for the rest of the team. That's just what Lissandra does, and he did it perfectly.
If I'm Alpha Esports and I get to pit Mission on utility, I consider that a win. Mission's caliber, he can really pop off, and Lucian was open. So if I put him on Lissandra, you know what? That's okay by me. Alpha Esports going for a super high tempo composition. The Varus comes out once more. We have seen On just be the pioneer of the Hell of Blades in the PCS, and also going for the poke composition, and also going for the poke build still. On the other hand, we have J Team. Looks like they're setting up for a Gwen pick here, banning away the set while Alpha Esports take care of the Ziggs.
Taking care of the Ziggs, Lil V looked fairly comfortable on the pick, even though against, I believe, the side of Liab, he did have some interesting moments in, I would say, that bottom side, as Dawn was super aggressive against that pick, but still performed very, very well in that game. And now going into this second phase, we have the bans out. Gwen and Thresh will be the other two bans, and it means that there is going to be a Gnar picked up here because of how many top lane picks have been stripped away.
Pretty interesting to see the Gnar in this one. You know, these days the kind of go-to blind pick has been Mundo. Gnar, you know, after the nerfs and with the game tempo being so fast, hasn't really delivered, but we'll see what happens. Lil V has played Draven in the past. I don't expect him to go onto this pick. He is not stepping up to the Doggo play. Well, to be fair, Doggo he hasn't touched Draven either, but I really want to see it. J-Team just going to go for pretty safe picks across the board here. We are seeing a potential lane-dominant bottom lane coming out to match the Varus, but what do you think's better of it? Goes on more engaged. J-Team stocked to the brim with just catch potential here.
And for the side of J-Team, this is a very much a pick for yourself team comp, where everyone just pick for themselves. And I mean, this composition from J-Team just screams at level 6, we will kill on. And he does not get to play this game. He has the cleanse, but it's not going to be enough when you have Volibear, you have this Lissandra, and you have Leona all gunning for you.
I agree with you. Don't see how On really gets himself out of this mess. But to Alpha's credit, this composition really isn't about On. If you look at that LeBlanc Lee Sin, I think that's where most of the power budget is going towards on Alpha Esports. On, he might not survive, but he's there to push the wave and get priority. That's his most important job. So if he dies, so be it. So be it. It's fine. We could take the blow there. How would you judge these drafts here? I think both of them are trending very heavy towards early game, actually.
Yeah, for the side of J-Team, it's very much a tempo composition, right? You hit your level spikes and then you just turn on the jets, and hopefully it never ends up stopping. And over on the flip side for Alpha, it's really all on K-Babe being able to snowball around this LeBlanc pick as well. It's about this two duo, and it's going to be a tall task because he has to try and make his way to some of these side lanes. And, well, the only one really viable, I guess, is trying to pick up Rest. So if Rest is on top of his game and sniffs out any gank attempts, I think J-Team will really just cruise to a victory quite easily.
I have to agree with you. I think the ease of execution, the scaling, really J-Team's got it all. If you think about how hard it is for Xiaotu to actually get his damage in, there is a ton of hard crowd control coming out from J-Team. This is Leona provides 3 stuns, you have 2 stuns coming in from Lissandra, and then another hard crowd control coming in from Hana. So even if Xiaotu gets fed, which is sort of the win con for this team, he's gonna have a really, really hard time in team fights to get anything done.
Yeah, and if Xiaotu doesn't get snowballed, then when it comes to these team fights, all you have to do is turn your CC attention towards K-Babe. If he ever wants to go in as the Lee Sin, well, too bad. He's just going to get Lissandra ulted, Leona stunned, even before he gets into position to actually get the kick off. So I just see too many problems for this Alpha engage to actually get going, to actually be able to put threat onto Lil V. So J-Team, I expect to have a comfortable game, but K-Babe could definitely throw a spanner in the works.
K-Babe has been ultra aggressive early, and something we do have to pay close attention to is that level 1 coming in from Alpha Esports. We saw a late invade early on in their game versus PSG. Definitely caught them off guard. Got them a great lead against the best team of the PCS. So they could be back to that trick again. They do have the Braum for the early level 1. Let's see if they do anything cheeky with it.
30 seconds until minions
So far, the answer is a no. as Shang is just going to recall in that bush, throws down the ward, gets himself that sweeper in exchange, and nothing. Can't really see anything that stands out here from a runes perspective, so nothing too surprising. Alpha trying to get on the board, and well, it's going to be a tall task.
They did end the spring split with 5 wins, so most of them after Labaz actually joined the roster. They're a bit of a late bloomer in that sense, and if we look at the previous game score in the past, it takes about 6 wins to get into playoffs. That's kind of the cutoff point. Very forgiving league in terms of the postseason the PCS is. Now we're going to go directly into the laning phase. A bit of a Viego cheese from Rest again, but this time he's not going to get 3Z on the way. I always love it when Viegos do that. They're very, very powerful from fighting inside the bush. You get that passive, Blade of the Ruin King, the double hit going through, but not going to happen this time.
Yeah, and of course, he just has plenty of sustain in his kit here. It's going to be a bit of a tall task for 3Z to actually bully out Rest in this lane, especially since Rest is going to be comfortable with his lane position and being able to play around in the bush, as it looks like from that spot. And Alpha, they have to really make their mark in the lane.
Yeah, that was exquisite trading from On. Actually times the Hail of Blades reset right onto him, and then Xiaotu gets a good trade onto Mission as well, able to dodge out before Aftershock. So wow, Alpha Esports actually looking pretty sharp in these 1v1s and 2v2s.
Yep, 150 seconds into the games, looking good. That's a good start, right? We need them to make a dent in these lanes, get lane advantages, get CS leads, and hopefully that snowballs into EXP leads that they can take to really make a dent in these side lanes. But the key member to really get that train going, K-Babe. He's currently on his buff, trying to clear out some camps and then look to turn and find that fight. And we could see jungle interaction right here.
Ana just waiting for K-Babe in the brush. Does get the Thundering Smash, but not the Sky Splitter to land. Now he has to run away as Xiaotu just jumps onto him. This is going to be a 2v2 fight with Gnar coming in a little bit faster. Looks like it's going to be a flash trade coming in. K-Babe going for the kill onto Mission, but doesn't find the last tick of damage. Does force out the flash and the first blood for Xiaotu. That's going to be a winning level 1 coming out their way. But in the bot side, we have level 3 from Woody and Lil V trying to get the stun down onto On. They do get it, but not enough damage to finish it off. The TP is going to come in. Last auto attack doesn't land for On. He escapes with the Ignite taking on him. Mission looking for a kill, but can't find it. Alpha Esports get away with a massive win all across the board.
They have to burn all their summoners in that bot lane from both sides. But let's talk about that mid lane victory. They were able to find the kill onto Mission. And because Mission has to use that teleport to go bottom lane, it means that he lost just a little bit to that tower up in that mid lane. However, because it was a cannon wave, he doesn't lose too much, which is really, really nice there. But Xiaotu being able to get that first kill in this lane could definitely empower him to really snowball come mid-game.
Really well done by K-Babe. He's able to draw Hana in. He burns all of his abilities at the start of the fight, and then Xiaotu just opens up on him. So just kind of a little bit of an overreach from J-Team, and this has kind of been J-Team's classical weakness, is that their mid-jungle synergy really isn't at that caliber where I would consider them one of the best duos in that position. They do fumble a little bit at the start, and also 3Z did have the inside track, so they couldn't really chase when they were ahead either, and that just leads to the 2v2 going Alpha's way. So far, I could tell from the first couple of trades that Alpha looked kind of different today. It might seem weird, but when Alpha Esports, they are a team that has to play in multiple locations. We can see that the player cams aren't really there for Xiaotu or K-Babe, and that's because they're connecting from overseas. And when you see that they don't really have ping issues when they have good connections, they do look like a different team.
It's certainly showing here so far, and Xiaotu, he's got a lot of confidence now, especially now that he has that level advantage. Level 6 to level 5 here, it means he can go super aggressive in these trade windows before mission hits level 6, and because of the EXP lead, it means that the side of Alpha, they've got a lot to work with here.
Okay, 3Z going super ham onto Rest. Rest definitely can smell something is wrong. He doesn't even attempt to trade back, doesn't want to get hit by the Mega Gnar. Just backs up away and waits for the wave. So far, J-Team, you know, they aren't really that far behind in terms of CS, but it's still super exciting to just see Alpha Esports get a lead of any kind right here. And Xiaotu now just thinning out the wave. Elysian spent a lot of time here. We are going to get the Glacial, the Frozen Tome going down. But isn't able to lock up Xiaotu that far. A full-on trade coming in. On is just being opened up by Woody. He's sticking onto him, gets tons of damage down. Doesn't get the last hit for the counter stun, but finally we do have both supports picking up the kills on their opposing ADCs. A fair trade, I would call, for both sides.
Supportal combat comes on in here. Woody and Shang able to capitalize and get themselves a kill. And I mean, Lil V on a little bit unfortunate for them. But for Alpha, the early game hasn't exactly been the issue. Like, again, they had a great early game against PSG. It's just really the big blunder, I would say, for a lot of these lower ranked teams when it comes to trying to challenge the upper echelons of the league has been, I would say, the Rift Herald or that first or second dragon fight. It's early on where they accumulate a lot of a lead in gold, and then they take a really poor communicated fight, have a really poor executed fight, and end up donating a lot of it back.
Yeah, we have seen that from Alpha Esports multiple times. Sometimes individually they look okay, but the comms are definitely slow on this team. They have difficulty pulling off full team engages, and that's why I like their draft so far, that they're trying to break it down into small bite-sized pieces. You know, Xiaotu and Lee Sin, Xiaotu and K-Babe, excuse me, they can definitely play a two-man game and just get things going that way. But now J-Team is going to press on Alpha's weakness, sort of twist the knife a little bit. We can see the pings going down. Maybe they're looking for a big shift into this Herald. So far, just doing a bit of setup. We have a bit of a camp from Hana, trying to catch K-Babe out of position, but looks like it's him that's going to reveal himself a little bit early. The pincer is coming in. Hana does get slowed, but this is a good position to fight for Rest. Doesn't land the Blade of the Ruin King, and it looks like Hana might have to use his ultimate to just get out of there. Wow, that camp did not work out whatsoever, and it looks like Alpha Esports is going to have an open path towards this Herald.
Yeah, they're going to turn towards this Herald, and look, both of these bot lanes are trying to rotate over to answer as well. So we're going straight into a Rift Herald fight, Clement.
Ezreal is a little bit late on the rotation. Alpha Esports do have position advantage first, but here comes J-Team. Woody going and getting the kill, plus the Herald right off the bat. Reset City. They find another one into the backline. Rest goes ham, and another Heartbreaker. Can he get 3Z? He does find the kill, and that is going to be a massacre on the side of J-Team. They even find the Herald. Xiaotu tries to pick it up, but I'm sorry, my man. You did not secure the objective. J-Team with a massive win and a potential chase down here as Rest does go reward, so I guess that will halt the action for now.
And J-Team find the fight. Alpha Esports back-to-back games accumulate nice mechanical or lane advantages as they did against PSG, but when it comes to that first Rift Herald fight, they're just all over the place, and as you see there, their attention is just too split. Half of them are thinking about trying to finish off the Air Herald, the other half is already trying to back off and set up for the team fight, and you just can't be split in your decision making like that, and as a result, J-Team, they absolutely mopped the floor with Alpha.
This is kind of tragic, but I will say it hasn't been limited to Alpha Esports. So far, the blue side of the map has secured 92% of the Heralds. that stat always, like, it's crazy to think about it, but we do have to say that the blue side terrain does favor Herald taking a little bit. We've seen so many teams fumble around that lone brush, and especially that brush around the left side of the map right there. Once again, Woody able to get a great angle onto the back line. Just clean up from there. Alpha Esports has pretty much had all of their early game leads evaporated, and now they're looking at the BM King Rest, not only the king of Ruination, but also the king of emotes as well.
And 3Z just whiffs the Gnar right there. That's not a good look for him. As Rest is 3-0-1.
And he's gonna let you know about your mistakes. Like, he's not shy about pointing them out whatsoever. Love that minion emote. I didn't even know that one really existed, you know. Rest showcasing it the first time, I believe. I don't think he's used that emote before, but the question mark shrug is just, it's just perfect for the situation.
Yeah, perhaps we'll one day get like Rest emote rankings instead of power rankings. We'll just do just list all the emotes that Rest has used and power rank those.
You know what? I'm actually just going to DM J-Team after the game and just ask them about that one. But 3Z is coming in. It's going to be a 3v2 dive, but they don't get him fast enough. In comes Mission. They still find the kill. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. K-Babe can make it to safety. And even with Mission coming in, he's not able to save his top laner. A big shutdown coming in for Alpha.
A big shutdown goes into the hands of Alpha, and it was really by the narrowest of margins, because if they were able...
Little V is going to open up. Glacial Fisher on the back end and is ticking down with the Ignite. And in comes Hana. Sky Splipper plus the Stormbringer going straight underneath the tower. Deactivates that one, and it's an easy clean up kill from there. Alpha Esports once again bot lane collapsing, even with Xiaotu getting all the kills. The early game has not gone their way.
Yeah, and they're also going to be able to get Rift Herald up into that top side. Of course, Mission was the one to pick it up, so they weren't able to get it onto Hana, so he isn't able to use it bot side, but at the very least, Mission's still able to get the 320 gold off of the Rift Herald. So all around, big accumulation of money for the side of J-Team, and best they can do for Alpha is just claim that ground bottom this top half. But Rest is here to challenge.
K-Babe, you're actually sitting on a ward, and the emotes come through, and Rest just putting on a show here. Even dodges out on the Q1 coming in from K-Babe. You still know he's pincered here. He has to play respectfully, but he won't forget to shine some emotes in your face just for that one. And I do want to see what Xiaotu can do with this lead. He is 3-0, the best game that he has played so far. This early game is night and day compared to the one he played against Moonblack.
Yeah, this is a much better performance. 3-0, has the Everfrost completed here, has more importantly the Merc Treads to try and deal with the CC chaining, but here's the collapse.
Woody does get tagged by the Everfrost, slowed down Hana in a bad position. We see the Frozen Tomb down onto Xiaotu, isn't able to save his jungler. Dead already, and in comes 3Z with the extra movement speed. Does not manage to land the boomerang slow, and Lil V plus Woody are able to walk out of that one. So Alpha send everyone down into the bottom lane, but for only one kill. Not sure if that's worth it or not. Xiaotu keeping the play going, though. In fact, sorry, that was only the, I think the Ring of Frost being used. He does hold on to his ultimate in that situation. Meanwhile, Rest getting some free alone time, some quality family time with that top lane tower.
Rest should be able to claim first tower gold here as Xiaotu goes in for yet another trade.
Oh,
that's not the trade.
Goodbye, Xiaotu. Thank you for the money. Mission gets away with a very sly flash. And I think Xiaotu probably had the same idea I did. I can't believe that Mission still had his ultimate after that skirmish.
Yeah, maintains that ultimate cooldown just for that 1v1 there, and Xiaotu, you can't have that happen, especially when you have that bounty accumulated on your head. Mission gets a fat gold bounty claimed right then and there. He's back in the game, and J-Team, you know, we thought that with that lead from Xiaotu, it could be an in for them to try and find a way to snowball the game, but that seems like the door has been closed there.
Mr. Fat Stacks now is Mission, as he is about to come into this team fight. Alpha Esports has reclaimed the river, and this is going to be a smite war. Who can actually hit the Eye of the Herald? It will be K-Babe saying thank you for the donation. Xiaotu comes in, gets a bunch of damage down onto Hana. And that was a bit of a question mark on J-Team. Starting up the Herald, something that they definitely could not have finished. And in we go onto Mission. This time he doesn't have his ultimate, but still has the glacial path to get out.
Yeah, but now he's about to have it here, so they could look to try and turn for a play here.
In goes the Chains of Corruption a little bit early, and they don't even get the tower. Mission is able to survive. Big HP advantage for Alpha Esports, and they do force their way onto the objective. In the meantime, I like what Lil V has done here. Played another PvE into the bottom side, but now he has to run away from Xiaotu's clutches.
Claps hard.
K-Babe is looking for him, and he just jumps over the wall. Finds his target anyway, gets the flash immediately, and the kickback kill. K-Babe was 2 steps ahead of the play. Alpha Esports roaming hit squad on the map. They're going to get 2 objectives in a row, plus interest with Lil V.
I don't know what to say about that one. Lil V, he just overstays his welcome. Clearly, he takes that bot lane tower, but doesn't go for the immediate recall, ends up wandering around, and because he doesn't go for the immediate recall, he has to find a way out by foot. And there's just too many alpha members to run away from, and he has nowhere to escape. You could say that he had one path of escape, but he couldn't find it. And Alpha, they secured themselves something on the back end, and J-Team, they'll just run straight down mid because of that recall timing, and they're going to claim themselves a bit of a win themselves.
Just get the first tower completely undefended, moving into the jungle with numbers. We're going to set up a great line of defense here for the Baron that's coming up in less than 2 minutes. So as we were talking about, we have said this in the drafting phase, J-Team have a far superior teamfight composition, and they could look to just leverage that by going in numbers and just forcing the issue.
Yeah, and now also with Mythics completed, we can kind of get an evaluation of where these mythic items are. And the first thing I have to point out is for the side of J-Team, they've got 3 Divine Thunderers. So there's a lot of sustain coming through for the side of J-Team, and for the side of Alpha, they really only have 1 form of heal reduction, and that is in the hands of Gnar. So he has to get a really big multi-man ultimate to really apply all of that, or he has to be able to hit these boomerangs really, really well.
It looks pretty difficult on Alpha's side. As you mentioned, J-Team probably didn't get the patch notes. Didn't really 11.13. It's like, there was a nerf on Divine Thunder? What are you talking about? It's still the most broken item in the game. Just gonna keep on building that one. And I like what J-Team are doing now. They're just not grouping whatsoever. We see a bit of a move on Alpha Esports side, trying to catch out Rest in this bottom lane, but he is a slippery champion, is able to get that camouflage, but he burns it early, and in comes K-Babe for the kick.
This is good.
R1 down, Q1, Q2, and they find the kill just like that. That was as clean as you could have wished for.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Alpha, they still haven't given up on the game. They're still playing around the 2v2 that we were talking about. It's this combination of Lee Sin and LeBlanc. The amount of burst damage that comes through from LeBlanc gets him into kill range for that Lee Sin execute, and that's exactly what happens there. They execute this duo to perfection, and for the side of J-Team, now you got to be looking at perhaps a couple of ARAM situations to try and make sure you don't ever get caught in these situations, or just ward better.
Taipei is going to be the one that's on the receiving end of the catch here, but he survives for such a long time. Shun keeping himself alive, and Nar comes in for the slam on the wall. Woody is low health, but Hana and Co are going to find the first kill here. That was a very congested jungle path, and unfortunately Alpha Esports don't bring enough damage to finish what they started. J-Team are going to walk away with the lead, even without Rest really coming in there, I think.
Yeah, Rest ends up coming in at the very end of the fight when everything was all said and done. And I mean, for the side of J-Team, it was a very labored effort. Yes, they got one kill, but it took a whole lot of effort to do so. And even their initial target, K-Babe, he ends up surviving, and he's able to secure this blue buff. So small victory there on the side of Alpha, but that's kind of been the story of the game for Alpha. Yes, they lose when it comes to these big macro moves, but they're still able to find small victories elsewhere on the map. And that means this game is still very much in contention.
Hana looking for the shield pop, does get the Banshees, but
Here
isn't
comes
going to be able to chase on Woody on the side. They have their eyes on that LeBlanc. Shout to 412, still very potent here. K-Babe plus Lee Sin, a little bit too slippery, and shout to even going in with a cheeky distortion just to pick off some of those jungle creep. So J-Team unfortunately not able to hit their mark here, but Alpha Esports might be a little bit too close to the scene. Hana actually gets tagged. Hana gets tagged up, and K-Babe just a bit of a ping test right there. Seems completely fine, doesn't overextend. And we really need On to be landing those chains of corruptions. It looks like the glacial path is going to come in. Everfrost a bit too short, and K-Babe is the one that gets a kick onto Mission. They can't kill him. He does have the Zanyas, and Sung is the one that has to run back from the composition. Rest is really low. Everfrost on to 3. They get their first kill. 3Z is Megadar going into the backline. He gets Hana back into the rotation, and K-Babe is looking for blood. Can he chase down the remaining targets? They are getting away just by the skin of their teeth, but Alpha win a commanding team fight, and Alpha, a team that has been winless so far, could just be striding towards their first victory. I can't believe it. Alpha Esports was the 9th place team in Spring Split, but they are hammering it home against J-Team.
Yeah, and it's just the evolution of this team here, where they just are relentless in searching for that next play. Yes, they've stumbled multiple times. You saw yesterday they had a lead, but then they just really tossed it all away. Oh, doesn't quite land the ultimate, but it was mighty close. And Alpha this time around, they continue to keep throwing these punches, and J-Team, they're just a little bit too lackadaisical in some of these reset timings and going back onto the map. They end up getting caught out in a couple of these situations, and that's allowed Alpha that lifeline to continue to play this game.
Oh, Woody walks directly into the brush. K-Babe gets the insect kickback, and there goes your support, J-Team. J-Team, they wanted to fight this 5v5, but they're not getting the chance. K-Babe on fire at this point. 2 insects in a row on critical targets, and I gotta say, these are very uncharacteristic mistakes coming out from J-Team. I trust that this team knows their win conditions very well, but they just have not hit the mark on this execution. Missed out on the engage in the previous fight, face check into this one, and Alpha Esports are punishing every mistake they catch.
Yeah, and now
K-Babe once again
Hana's
going
in
in onto Hana. Mission, though, does cut off the rest of the members, but gets stunned up
He's in
himself.
trouble.
He just might be going down, but Shunt is actually the
Wait.
first one to fall. 3Z
Lil
coming
V?
in. Lil V gets 2 himself, and rest is on the chase down. Can 3Z actually get away from this one? Triple kill going over to Lil Z, and he's gonna pick up the scraps. That's gonna be Hana taking away one more. J-Team finally put an end to the nonsense, and they head towards their Baron.
Yeah, and Alpha just once again, like, you appreciate how aggressive they are, but now that they have the advantage, they end up squandering it, overextending themselves, and consequently leading J-Team straight to the Baron. That will be a ace for Alpha, or a ace on Alpha, and J-Team claim themselves a Baron on top of that ace.
Mission at the right place at the right time, just able to block out Alpha Esports, 2 members trying to go in on the collapse. They forget about Mission. Yeah, and Lil V was in perfect position for all of that, so it was just a little bit pushing too hard, I would say, on Alpha Esports' part without real vision. They were just kind of throwing a Hail Mary, and it cost them dearly. This play was so funny. A brutal murder of Lee Sin juxtaposed next to a cute penguin emote. That was I feel healed in my heart. That was really nice to see.
Yeah, and now, I mean, for the side of J-Team, you could say that because Alpha was that far ahead, one of the concerns was, well, do they have enough damage to win some of these team fights? Because they are playing Alessandra, but that last fight, Lil V gets so much gold, he's definitely online.
K-Babe, I'm not sure about this one. K-Babe,
this isn't it. This is not it.
Xiao2 going in. That's a very difficult funnel to fight through. Alpha Esports has to retreat out directly, and I'm not sure about that one, K-Babe. That seemed pretty forceful.
Yeah, there was definitely an overforce there, but Alpha, they continue to fish for plays. It will transition into this bot tier 2 going down, however, and J-Team looking to try and really ransack the base at this point.
About 7,000 gold lead. A siege with a 4-man here. K-Babe might be deciding to go in and does bait out some abilities from Mission, but Mission uses him as bait as well to try to get to his support. Sung able to use the flash to get out. That's still a decent win for J-Team as they get a lot of these summoners here. Ooh. What was that? That really hurt.
Yeah, that was just the WQ combination coming out from the Ezreal, just doing an absolute number on 3Z, and he's probably the tankiest member on their squad, which does not bode well for some of these later team fights. Xiao2 has the Banshee, so he's not going to get locked down anytime soon, but problems are rising against this Baron buff.
We do have a bit of time before that, I think. J-Team looking like they're just going to go for the Drake first, and this is going to allow K-Babe to potentially get a pick here. Wow! The CC duration takes Mission out of his glacial path, not able to get the second proc reactivation on that ability. They do find another pick, so this does mean Alpha Esports can set up for that Baron, but it's still a very long time until that, actually. So let's see what Alpha Esports does with this overload on the top side.
Yeah, and once again, Alpha search and fish for that next play. J-Team, I mean, it's clear that they want to grab that dragon, and Alpha just say, okay, we'll go ahead and give it to you. However, Mission, he gets a little, I mean, it should be a fairly routine play, right? You go ahead, take blue buff, because Alpha should be contesting dragon, right? There's really no reason for them not to, but they aren't. They go straight for the blue buff instead, and they find Mission. That's such a nice pick. I love this version of Alpha. Yes, they're still down in gold, but it's this never give up attitude. And I mean, it's bit them a few times in this game already, but it's also kept them in this game.
We can definitely see that Alpha Esports, when they're grouped up as 5, I don't think they have the same sort of team fight capability, But when they're going in one by one, when it's more individualistic, mechanical play, and just going over for small skirmishes, they can hang with the best of them. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're skill checking their opponents over and over again, just swinging from the map side to side and trying to find enough picks to allow them to get like a good hold into the Baron pit itself. And now we have Alpha Esports with a strong push into the bot side. And lo and behold, Xiaotu already waiting on the wings for Rest. Let's see if Rest falls for this one. He is going to go for the Crux. Everfrost doesn't really get the slow down, but the two chains are going to land. Yeah, a lot of return damage. They do get Rest Steric's Gauge. And on the flip side, On is chasing for the Chains of Corruption. They do get the land. Mission has to use the Frozen Tomb just to stay alive. And that's Alpha Esports being able to play offense for the bot lane tower and defense on the top side at the same time.
Yeah, just exchanging cooldowns in that top half, but once again, fishing for that next play. They find it. Oh, they almost find it in that bot side. And they burn a lot of important cooldowns on that top side as well. So we'll see if they're able to... On, because of the fact that he is going Duskblade, is going to get his ultimate up just a little bit sooner, but Lil V, he could possibly be in trouble, but K-Babe's just like, well, I don't really want the Ezreal. I'll definitely just take this red buff as consolation.
We see J-Team positioning for mid lane priority. Baron is about to come up, so it just seems like 5-man poke game into the Baron is going to be the game here. However, we do have a bit of a pause coming up. So far, best game that Alpha Esports has ever played. They are 0-2, but this game, after watching this game, I'm not sure about my bet that Liab is going to end up ahead of Alpha Esports. I'm sorry, Liab fans, but I got to be honest, I'm not sure about it anymore. It seems like a bit of a toss-up.
Yeah. It's definitely a 50-50, but that's also good for the rest of the league, right? For the league in general, because if these bottom teams can really push some of these upper echelon or even the middle pack teams, it just makes this league so much more competitive and helps level up some of these upper echelon teams as well. If they don't get contested by these bottom teams, they get away with a lot of things that you normally wouldn't at the international level or just trying to beat PSG.
You can definitely feel Berjaya Dragons and Hong Kong Attitude sweating as I see Liab and Alpha Esports gearing up and getting better. It's like, we thought 8th places were pretty safe in this league, but
yeah,
things might have changed around this time. So everyone has to get better. That's how the league rolls, you know. We're still waiting for word on exactly what has gone wrong in the game so far, but in a league where we play on different servers and everyone connecting overseas, it could be a little bit difficult. We are going to go right into a team fight. Rest almost dead, but Xiaotu on the other end also falling incredibly low. 3Z is in a bad position. The stun comes through. He's going to fall, and Sheng is next. The full 5-man squad just piling in on Alpha Esports at this point. We've sung their praises, but J-Team has sung their eulogy, so they're going to clean this one up and push straight for the base. The respawn timers are still 40 seconds on, and this could just be it out of nowhere.
It does look like it's going to be a lot of the base just stripped away from Alpha here. I don't know if they are going to be to end it just because of how long it took for this wave to get to tower. However, if Xiaotu or K-Babe die, it could definitely spell the end.
And we are going to see one inhibitor going down here. J-Team not going to push their luck, just going back for the Drake instead. This will be their 3rd Drake and putting them on a Mountain Soul point. Not sure what happened at the start of the fight. We're going to get a replay here. Rest was the first one caught out. Good brush angle coming in from Alpha Esports, but Xiaotu doesn't find the target first. And now their flank has been revealed. Rest actually walks back to start the fight himself. Really nice calculation here, as he knows that he will survive, and the rest of J-Team are able to open up. Lil V at this point does have a slow on the Sorelio's Grudge, so he's just able to chase down infinitely on this team fight. Alpha Esports section off in this one.
Yeah, and it really just came to the difference, right? we talked about, well, in these smaller skill check skirmish scenarios, Alpha can indeed match with the best of them. However, when it comes to these 5v5s, that's not where they match up well. And I mean, unfortunately, they don't match up well in the 1v1 in that situation as well. Rest goes ahead, throws out the emote, gets the 1v1 kill against the assassin, and straight into another pause as Xiaotu's probably asking, hey, why am I in a gray screen?
What happened? Where am I? Who am I? As he sees his identity being stolen away by the Blade of the Rune King. We're going to get a replay of that one. Xiaotu popping his Banshees, and there's no way he goes in, right? There's no... Oh, that was a smart move by Russ. Fakes the back, comes back in straight after the distortion, and gives him the thumbs down.
Yeah, just able to eliminate him right then and there. And, I mean, Xiaotu just trying to clear out the minions, but there's really no need for him to be that far up in the first place to clear supers, because they will push back towards him. So a little bit of a blunder there, but that's okay. It's just the identity of Alpha this entire game, right? They will keep swinging those punches, and that's what is making this team so much fun to watch in this summer split.
I would want to ask you, so let's say they continue to play in this sort of fashion where it's all about like side lane picks, assassins. What other type of champions do you think they can pull out? Because so far it's only been the LeBlanc. It seems like they're a little bit easy to target. If I just ban the LeBlanc,
yeah.
like, isn't that just it?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could just be it. Unless if he has something like a Talon. Talon definitely plays in that vein as well, right? Where you just kind of run at them. But Talon, not exactly a meta pick per se. As we're straight back into the game, and we're also straight back into a Baron take coming in from JT.
Completely uncontested on the side of JT.
Traded for Dragon,
Esports. Yep, they're trying to trade this one back. The rest is in the area. Lil V also going to use a true shot for Raj. Does not get the steal, but as you said, really close. And if K-Babe overstays for this scuttle, his base could be in complete tatters. Not sure about that move. Mission already showing himself in the top side, and they're going to get some free quality time on these objectives. Hana waiting in the wings with that Storm Springer. See if they can find a collapse right here. Lil V is the one getting pincered. Flash kick, but Lil V gets out in time. That was a huge move. However, Leona is left on the wayside. K-Babe, just with a surprising kick, is able to find respite for Alpha.
And that seemed very SOFM-esque there, where you overstay, go ahead, take a couple of jungle camps, and because of that overstay, well, you're in perfect position for a flank. And that's exactly what happens there. They thought he would go for a recall and reset and in direct vision of them, but instead he shows up right behind him. So great flank play coming in from K-Babe, and it once again gives a little bit of a lifeline for J-Team, as they're going to have to be forced to reset, granting Alpha more time and more time to get to that Mountain Soul flip in 3.5 minutes.
The flip is what we are waiting for. I didn't imagine that Alpha Esports were able to hang in this game so long, and they're really bringing the game to just one team fight territory. That one kick could mean J-Team go 2-2 if they're not careful. Let's take a look at J-Team's back warding. They do have a lot of them. They do have the Raptor pinked up. But on the right side, there's definitely still angles for K-Babe to use if he can find his way out of his base and not stand on the board at the same time, which might be a problem. Oh, Xiaotu going pretty low. Hana willing to walk up now. They are going to get this inhibitor tower. And Lil V is tagged up by the Q. In goes K-Babe, but he doesn't find anyone on the kick. Stasis goes down, and he's just dead like that. J-Team take the 5v4 into the enemy base. One inhibitor down. It's going to be a second one. It doesn't look like everyone was on the same page for that engage. Now on, this is the chains of corruption, and it's hard to see how Alpha are going to get a comeback at this point, but try they will. Sheng holding down on the front line. Rest is just going to obliterate him, and the Nexus is completely open. Stormbringer goes in for another kill. They want to finish off every single member of Alpha Esports. At the end of the day, it was a good fight, but an anticlimactic finish as Alpha Esports, they don't really go in at the same pace, get picked off one by one. J-Team roll to their third victory of the split.
Yeah, and you can clearly see that the 5v5 isn't quite there yet coming in from Alpha and J-Team. That's exactly where they have their advantage. And Little V played that last fight to perfection. Has the Q land onto him, and instead of playing it safe and holding on to that arcane shift, he actually shifts forward because he knows he has flash available. K-Babe does not. So when K-Babe takes that Q back in, he can flash backwards to bring K-Babe even further into his team. And that was just the perfect fight to end the game.
Really well done by J-Team. The draft difference at the end, the 5v5 capability, still winning out on the day. A bit of a close game here. What did you make of J-Team's kind of, honestly, kind of fumbles against someone like Alpha Esports? How was this game actually so difficult for them?
Yeah, it really just came down to them being really lackadaisical when it came to their recall timings and getting back onto the map, right? They would go for recalls and they were just like, well, we'll just go back into lane. And Alpha, they knew that, and they were just immediately going and hunting for picks right off the back when the J-Team were like, well, Dragon's not quite up yet, so we have nothing to play for, and in that case, let's just autopilot out onto the lane. And Alpha took full advantage of that autopilot.
It's pretty crazy that they were able to trade objectives for kills so many times and just drag it out to that point. But at the end of the day, Alpha Esports have still yet to find their first win. We're going to be taking a look at the end game graphics to bring you through this roller coaster. We're going to see how many times Alpha Esports actually had a lead here. And was it just more of a mirage that they were ahead, or was it actually truth that they got some of that gold lead? Still waiting on that graphic.
I don't think they ever had a gold lead, actually. Yeah. It was just really all those picks that gave the really illusion of J-Team being suffocated, right? Because whenever they made an errant play, they would get punished. It was just that, well, it was only one man getting punished rather than a full team getting punished, as J-Team would find a number of times in team fights.
Alpha Esports kept J-Team from advancing, but they also weren't going anywhere themselves. I think that's the kind of way to put this game, but still a really good showing for Alpha Esports. I will be paying a lot more attention to K-Babe. I felt like this was one of his strongest games. Best showing so far. 3Z also on the Gnar, and not exactly meta, but it's his best champion career-wise. And, you know, he didn't die in lane, so that's pretty much more than we can ask for. That's a pretty decent start coming in on his side. Alpha Esports showing signs of life, and that's all I can ask for. MVP gonna go over to Lil V. Not a lot of surprises here. 79% kill participation, 43% of the team's damage, with the plus 5,000 gold lead at the very end. Despite the Divine Thunder nerfs, Ezreal is still in the house.
Yeah, and when you have so much engage packed into your team, it's just such a safe champion to play. You can arcane shift forward pretty much with impunity here, and he was just able to output so much damage because, again, his team also needed him to output that much damage because of the fact you're running a Lissandra, you're running a jungle Volibear, two champions that don't bring a ton of damage into a team composition.
Alpha actually made J-Team dance to their tune, but at the end of the day, Lil V, the captain, is there to hold everything down. That's going to be it for Game 5. For our final match of the day, Hong Kong Attitude is going to get their debut, and Day 3, and Impunity is going to play their third game. So I wish them the best of luck in the upcoming match. Don't go anywhere.